The first 3 episodes of All's Fair have recently been released, and coming from the mind of Ryan Murphy, in the year of 2025, you never truly know what you're gonna get. Murphy is a man that once delivered the goods, and occasionally he still does, but boy, was this show the mess that I expected it to be. Other critics have been calling this the worst piece of television ever made, and the funny thing is, I can see why people think that. With this show being marketed everywhere that I looked, it was on buses, on the TV, on social media, and it even got the featured ad spot before my movie started at the cinema, so there was no way that I wasn't checking it out. So with that, I want to discuss everything wrong with the show, what the hell has happened to Ryan Murphy's writing, and if it can be saved. Here is everything wrong with All's Fair episodes 1, 2, and 3. This video is going to contain spoilers, so I'm warning you, just in case you actually want to watch the show. The terrible writing. When it came to the writing of this show, it was something that was honestly all over the place. It genuinely had the writing of a soap opera, but given a budget of $70 million. So when watching it, my mind just felt all confused and broken because I'd never seen something with such a mediocre story have so much money thrown behind it and look the way that it did. I was just sat there questioning how it even got greenlit. The story within it was so two-dimensional and surface level that it could have been thrown together with a few prompts, so there was nothing of any substance within it when watching it. From Kim Kardashian's character being a divorce lawyer where she always stuck up for the women in the battle, to then becoming somebody herself that was going through a divorce. Then with her husband being the one that cheated on her with her assistant, he then wanted to take her for half of everything, including the law firm that she set up. This being at the core of the show just painted a ridiculous backdrop where there was hostility between the couple for no reason whatsoever. Take into consideration a few minutes earlier, he bought her a massive rock for their anniversary. There was no malice in the couple's relationship whatsoever then. And her husband was also a football player and had his own career and money, enough to buy his mistresses homes. So I don't see where the hostility, malice, and desire to take her for everything came from. It was just drama for drama's sake. Now listen, I haven't even got to the good bit yet. There was genuinely a section at the end of the second episode where Kim Kardashian's character went to the fertility clinic, forged her husband's signature, and got the frozen embryos that they both were a part of put inside of her because she wanted a baby. And at that point, the embryos were part of the marital settlement, so she was going to potentially have his child without his permission. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Considering that this show felt like it was about putting down men to a degree, her character did something that doesn't seem morally or ethically right because she wasn't even planning on allowing him to see the child if it was successful. Outside of that story, seeing Glenn Close's Dina, the mother hen lawyer who trained up Kim Kardashian's character, and Naomi Watts' character going to auction and kissing a man that wasn't her husband that was dying of cancer just felt a little bit odd. Dina and her husband hadn't been intimate with each other for years, but then when she got back to her home and told him that she'd kissed somebody, he wasn't even mad about it, and they ended up getting it on for the first time in years. Everything within this show just feels random, thrown in and included for the sake of it. I get that they're trying to get across the message that caring for somebody that's ill can be difficult, but it was just a really strange way of going about it. The dialogue as well is something that I find incredibly difficult to listen to. Like the writing of the story, it's surface level, it doesn't progress the plot forward, and it's like the characters are just thinking out loud. Considering this was a show about lawyers, we didn't really ever see them doing any proper lawyering. They were just throwing around threats inside of a meeting room and the counterpart's lawyer would just crumble. We never truly saw a back and forth or a true argument of any kind. The opposition would just heel and give up straight away. It essentially put the female lawyers on a pedestal, which meant that they weren't touchable in the slightest. With Sarah Paulson's story, of course, the enemy ended up representing Kim K's character's husband, Chase. But what I don't get is why she's so hurt over the fact that 10 years ago she was left at the law firm that Allura and Liberty left. By the looks of it, she got out of the firm, set up her own rival company to the ladies, and she seems to be doing incredibly well. It's just strange that a character that's got the wealth and success that she has is still caught up over something that happened 10 years ago. There were some bold moments in this show, such as when the woman walked off the building and ended things out of the blue. The characters' reactions didn't feel real in that moment, and they were almost numb to what she did. There was no true emotion or shock, it was just like it was a pantomime. Now, if the show was taking itself seriously, it maybe would have got across the message that love being weaponized can be seen as something that people can't come back from in a more sensitive way, but it didn't handle it in that way at all. It also felt like there were scenes included for shock value, and the one of Kim K imagining smashing up Milan's car just felt like a commercial. The show is just quite disjointed, and it lends itself to being easy watching but also uncomfortable because it chops around a lot. I'd say it feels like most of the budget went into the actors and also the outfits, and that's pretty much what you take away from it. The writing in this show really doesn't lend itself to being anywhere close to Ryan Murphy's finest work. Considering this is the man that's behind shows such as American Horror Story, the entirety of the Monster series, The Watcher, and even The Politician, this just feels like a fall from grace cash grab that will be one of those shows that falls into obscurity because it's not really got anything important to say, and it even lacks entertainment value. It's said that Murphy pitched the idea to the Kardashians following him working with her on American Horror Story, so it feels like he just did this show because he wanted to stay close to her. The performances. When it comes to the performances, I'd say there are only two solid performances in the show. Sarah Paulson, but that's no surprise as she's a quality actress and we've seen her embedded within Ryan Murphy shows before, so I expected nothing less. And also Niecy Nash. She's the character that brings the humor to the show. Outside of that, Kim Kardashian is literally playing herself, and it's difficult to see anything or anybody else when seeing her in that role. She's not horrific, but it's pretty bad. Plus, Naomi Watts, despite being a really good actor and working with Murphy in the past, this role really doesn't suit her. Maybe it's the way that the dialogue is written, but her performance just feels a bit stale, rigid, and it just sounds like she's reading words off of a script. So it's strange that she's one of the worst, when on paper you'd think that she'd be one of the best. Two-time Academy Award nominee. It lacks a true message. At its core, it feels like this is a show that's just about painting men in a bit of a bad light in a broader sense. I understand that there are some terrible people that are out there that can be horrible to women, but there isn't a single redeeming quality about a man in that show, other than Dr. Reggie and Dina's husband, who haven't had that much screen time. Other than that, it just feels like the main three characters are rolling their eyes at men and their actions for the entirety of the story. The issue I have with this is that the show is literally being created, written, and directed by a man. At least the first two episodes were. I feel like if the show is about women empowerment and them walking away from the men and taking control, it should kind of be led by a woman behind the scenes from a writing and direction perspective. It just feels a bit odd that Ryan Murphy is there leading the line with this message. I also find it a bit strange that the men are the characters that are facing consequences for their actions in the show, but when the likes of Dina kisses a man and cheats on her husband who's dying, there's no consequence and it's framed in a sympathetic light. And also when Allura goes to the clinic and impregnates herself with the hopes of having her and Chase's child without him knowing, that's not frowned upon either. We haven't seen the true response from that, but I can already see the girls around the table clinking their glasses at the fact that she was bold enough to do that and it being a way of her getting revenge. All's fair in love and war, right? This show is arguably one of Ryan Murphy's worst shows that he's made. Not even all of the episodes are out, but it's clear to see the direction that it's going to go in, and I don't think it'll improve with time. There are 6 more episodes to go, and I can see this surface level basic story continuing on in the way that it started until its run ends in December. Ryan, just give us the next season of American Horror Story, please. So, there you have it. Everything wrong with All's Fair episodes 1, 2, and 3. If you want to see more videos on this show, then be sure to subscribe. I'm going to be brave and cover it every week, so if you don't want to watch it, but feel like you want to know how good or bad it is, then I'll be your guy. Will you be watching All's Fair? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video, and I'll see you in the next one.